The backrooms is something that I used to really love and then I kind of hated for a while, as you've seen on my channel, but now I'm kind of back to liking. I learned that if I can just filter out all those weirdos who think about the backrooms too much and are just losers on the internet, then I can still enjoy it for what it is. Because, I gotta think about why I love the backrooms in the first place. This idea of liminal horror is amazing, and why should some losers on the internet ruin that for us? So today, I'm gonna share with you my favorite level of the backrooms, which, by the way, is the weirdcore level. And no, it's not level 78, because I know that's been talked about so much, and that level's kind of lame anyways, like with the dumb almond water, or whatever on the backrooms is so stupid. But it's not that level. This is a different one. This is a better one. Today, we're going to be talking about level 99 of the backrooms. Level 99 is also known as Anemoia, is what it's called, and it's made up of two different parts. First, we have the dreamy part and the physical part. So the dreamy part is made up of an unstable amalgamation of, they're called the dreamy spaces, it's a dumb name, and the physical realm is made up of a warped conglomeration of a bunch of previous levels. And both parts are prone to a lot of local events that can happen, which we're going to talk about later. But basically, getting back to that physical part, I think it's really interesting how it's basically just a combination of a bunch of previous levels. So the lore is that the wanderers who get there, they think that they're in those other levels, but then they think they're going crazy because they keep seeing a bunch of random stuff too that makes it seem like maybe they're not there. And also what's interesting about level 99 is that it kind of is its own entity, like it has its own identity, like its own personality. See, it has this way of getting entangled with its wanderers, and then that consciousness materializes in the form of eyes. And then the other part of this level, the dream spaces, is just that wanderers have reported being in a dream or something stupid, the backrooms is. But I think it's really interesting that this level basically puts its wanderers into a dream. It puts them into a trance, which, I mean, if you know me, you know I love dreamcore and weirdcore. I love all that dreamy stuff. That's what this kind of thing is all about for me. So that's the basic idea of what this level is. So now let's talk about the transition points. So these things are called transition events, and basically they're just ways for wanderers to get from one part of this to the other part. Like from the physical realm to the dream realm, or from the dream realm to a different part of the dream realm. It's just a way for people to get around in the level. So one of these transition events is called a wormhole event, where basically a big circle in the sky that's either white, black, or gray will appear and it'll act as a wormhole. Wanderers who see it will start to feel a light gravitational pull to it. Nothing strong, it'll do basically nothing, but it's just there so that they can feel it. And the wormhole will be there indefinitely until the wanderer walks close enough to it and enters it. And when they enter it, they can undergo vertigo, and it can take a while for them to actually reach their destination, but after a while, they'll reach another part of level 99. And also, this level of the backrooms with these wormholes even brings in some weirdcore elements into it. Because like the text is on a lot of weirdcore images, this level uses that text. Basically, with these wormhole events, there will be text hallucinations that will come up and say something like in the weirdcore text, and it'll be there to show the wanderer if that is a safe or not safe wormhole to go through. So depending on if the text is nice or not, it basically says you can go through this or it's dangerous. And also, I'm reading the wiki for this level right now. It turns out these wormholes could be up to 2 kilometers. These take place in the grass hill section of the level, so you're just walking on some grassy hills. It's beautiful, it's just green and bright, and then you see a 2-kilometer wide just black hole in the middle of the sky. That's crazy. That's what I love this whole aesthetic for. That also hits me pretty hard because I have megalophobia, which is just a fear of big things. So seeing that, I can't do cruise ships or big buildings or anything like that. It just scares the hell out of me. And then the other transition event is a false snow clip, which there's not a lot of information on the wiki about that, but it's basically just says that if you try to no clip out of the level, it won't end well for you. This is the kind of backrooms part that I don't really like all the lore that goes with it, but it's interesting to read. I mean, I totally respect all the people who go in here and write this and have these ideas. I think that most of these levels are really clever, and I mean, obviously no hate against them. I love this level. So now I want to talk about some of the miscellaneous events that can happen, to just different random things that can happen in this level that make it special. The first one is probably my favorite, is the text hallucinations. So these things happen all the time in this level, and it says that these aren't randomly generated, like they're made out of the context of whatever's going on to you in the level. Most of these messages will have the intention to just make you stay. It'll say things that will comfort you and make you want to stay in the level, and it'll often use your own childhood and nostalgia against you in that. It'll say things that will remind you of your childhood, and it'll use that to make you want to stay in the level. And while it's usually a positive thing, occasionally the text hallucinations can trigger negative things. Like, it can say things that will make you feel guilty about what you've done in the past, which we see in weirdcore all the time. So basically, it's just the weirdcore text, but in the backrooms level. And then it also has messages about how you're being constantly watched or looked at, which is freaking awesome. I love that idea. The concept of being watched by some kind of celestial being that isn't there to harm you, but just there to watch over you and just see what's going on and just kind of taunt you is so horrifying. That's what the backrooms should be all about, in my opinion. I love it. The next miscellaneous event or anomaly is the eye decals, which are just the weirdcore eyes. So in this level, they can appear often in clusters of each other, and they're just there to watch you, to look at you. And the website says they can appear in any kind of normal human color, especially ones that you're most used to. So if the majority of your family has blue eyes, for example, then the eyes will most likely appear blue just because that's what you're used to. And this level uses your own past and nostalgia against you. And again, like I said earlier, these eye decals are usually, at least or sometimes, the manifestations of this level itself, kind of saying, hey, I'm watching you, and kind of personalizing the level, making it into an actual person rather than just a level of backrooms, giving it an identity, giving it a personality, giving it a humanity, which is really, really interesting. The next anomaly is sensory rectangles, which are just the black rectangles. Now these are really, really interesting. The wiki says that they aren't even dangerous, that you can pass through them and there's no effect at all, it doesn't harm you at all, it just kind of censors whatever's behind it, which is really cool. I love the idea of, like, in this image, like, you see it far away, you see it all the way over there, you can't really get to it, and you're just wondering, like, what's being hidden? What don't they want me to see? It's really interesting. Now, for all my dreamcore fans, you're gonna love this next one. The next anomaly is a sky texture, which is like the dreamcore windows, doors, all that, where it just opens out into the sky. Now, apparently these sky textures don't actually change the wall or wherever they are. They're just there to look like it. Like, if you go and touch it, it's still the wall or the door or whatever it was supposed to be. However, if they're big enough, you can feel faint wind or air passing through them, and you can see the light coming from it, so it's kind of like a anomaly in that respect. Like, they're not really real, but they kind of are. It's, you know, it's the backrooms, what do you expect? Now we're gonna talk about the dream spaces, which makes up the half of the level that I talked about earlier. There are 6 main common dream spaces that people have reported encountering, and we're going to talk about those. So the first dream space is called the grass halls, which is what I was talking about earlier, where you can find the big thing, the big wormhole in the sky. So these can be both indoors and outdoors, which is really interesting, and I think they kind of interconnect. Like, you can appear in the indoor section of it, and then you can just go through a door and it's outdoors. But the catch of all this is that the floor is always grass with carpet underneath, so even outside it's just carpeted. Think like, remember when you were a kid and your parents or your grandparents took you to an indoor mini golf thing where it's grass on the floor, but it's kind of fake grass and there's carpet underneath, but it's green and it's all inside and there's the drywall all around you. Imagine that, but if you dreamed it. So it's this nostalgia, this childhood neglect, and all of this coming in, and it's great. I love this. Another dream space is called the last day of school, and this might be my favorite part of this whole level. This is exactly what you would expect. It is a place where time stands still at 30 minutes before school lets out. So imagine being perpetually stuck in a place where time doesn't move and you're stuck in an empty school 30 minutes before it lets out for summer. There's nobody there, all the decorations and any kind of furniture is almost all gone because school's almost over, so they already started packing up. You can go outside, you can go to the playgrounds, it's just a school and it's just empty. There are computers in the school too, just like you would expect. They're all on old Microsoft operating systems and they don't have much hardware, but they do have the internet, but it seems to be frozen at an older stage of the internet. This space also has a subspace, which is outside. If you walk past the playgrounds for long enough and just keep going, you'll come across a neighborhood where all the houses look like the one that you grew up in. So it's just a neighborhood full of nostalgia, and it's the same deal where it's almost all empty. It's just your house where you grew up, but nobody's there. It's empty. The next dream space is called The Store, which is really interesting. It is in the same time period as the last day of school space. So it's stuck in the same time period back in early 2000s, late 90s. And it's just an empty, dark convenience store. Eye decals and wormhole events and black rectangles are all really common in this space. And I don't know, something about a convenience store is really nostalgic, especially with these pictures that I'm seeing it empty and stuff. It's really just brings me back to my childhood. It's also said that there's a constant light ambiance of people talking and people walking around and just the existence of people, but it's completely empty. You're the only person there, and just adds to the nostalgia, I guess. Because I feel like when you're a kid, you're kind of in your own little world anyways, and you hear people around you, but you don't really acknowledge them, and this kind of puts that into how you experience that as an adult, and it kind of makes it way too literal in a horrifying sense. The next dream space is called the stairwell, which is an indefinite, ever-going staircase. The sky anomalies I was talking about earlier, the sky textures, they are very common here. They're always on the walls, and eye decals are also pretty common here. Wormholes will appear if somebody's there long enough to allow them to escape from that dream space. And there's something that kind of stops you from jumping over the railing to just fall indefinitely, because again, it's an indefinite staircase. There's also a constant sound of air conditioning and like plumbing from the walls, and you can never get to it obviously, but kind of just makes it seem more horrifying and like realistic, almost nostalgic. That's what makes the backrooms great for me, is when it brings me back to my childhood. I wish there were more levels like this that kind of gave into that. But anyways, let me carry on. The next dream space is called the playground, not to be confused with the playgrounds from the school one, but this is whole thing. This is kind of like the hub of this dream space, because each slide kind of puts you into a different dream space. It's like a whole like teleportation thing, and basically it just resembles one of the old playgrounds that you would be taken to as a child, with all the indoor colorful stuff and the slides and everything, you know what I mean. And the last dream space is called The Walk, which is this famous weirdcore image, which if you know me, you know I don't like this image that much, but I think it fits for this backrooms level. This is the only way to actually escape this level and into a different one. If you just walk into the void, then you'll escape. But yeah, that's the last dream space. So now moving on to the physical part of this level, the wiki talks about this multi-level error, which is kind of confusing, but I think I understand what it's trying to say. Basically, like I said, the physical part is just a amalgamation conglomerate of a bunch of other levels. And so the multi-level error, I think, is just saying that all those other levels kind of get jumbled together like they kind of get cut up and put back together like a puzzle to make the physical realm of this level. And so while it's completely random what the physical world is going to look like for you, there are a few common places that have been reported to be seen pretty commonly, and we're gonna go over those. First, we have the mall, which is just a classic liminal space, an empty mall. The lights are all on, but it's abandoned, it's dark outside. You know what I'm talking about. This is a great liminal space. Next, we have the pools, which are from level 1, I believe, of the backrooms. But these are just the common, you know, everybody knows the pool rooms. It's kind of one of the things that got popular from the backrooms. The most popular liminal space, probably the pool rooms. And finally, we have the hotel, which is personally probably my favorite. I did a lot of traveling when I was a kid, and there's just something about smelling a hotel. You know the hotel smell, and going down to the hotel pool and coming back up because you forgot your change of clothes, your towel or whatever, or you forgot your key card, and just the smell and the overall vibe of it, how you're in a brand new place, and the idea of experiencing that as an adult, but there's just nobody there and you're stuck, is just horrifying. I love the hotel section part. So yeah, that was level 99 of the backrooms, also called Anamoya. If you know me, you know I don't like the backrooms that much. I made too many videos talking about why I hate the backrooms, but there is some good left in the backrooms, I will admit that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you know, comment, subscribe, all that. Let me know what kind of level you want me to cover next, because if you guys like this kind of video, I'd be happy to cover another level of the backrooms in the future. Just let me know, leave a comment, you know. I will try to respond to as many of you as I can. If you look at my other videos, you see that I reply to a lot of people. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a great night. Sleep well. Sweet dreams.